Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Tommy, and you are on the Lifeboat. What's happening? So I just came over from the related boat where I went live with my friend Quibble. Had a pretty good time over there. Hey, let's we were farting around a little bit. If you missed it, it if you missed it, you missed a really good one. It was actually funny as hell, and we're having a pretty good time. Making content here from the basement. Brandon Calloway, good to see you, bud. Proud of you, man. Really proud of you. I am having a lot of fun doing it. We had a really good time messing with the pearl clutchers. To be really honest with you, we're having a pretty good time with them. And the people that just cannot handle the concept of a guy and a girl being friends, they're pretty fun to have a good time with. I'm not lying. They're a pretty good time to have fun with. So there's that. And the numbers are fantastic. We're killing it. So that's always fun. It makes you, it's exciting to keep coming out if you're putting up good numbers, and we are. So, but I wanted to come over here today and talk to the crew of the Lifeboat. These are people that you guys mean a lot to me. You really do. A few of you reached out to tell me you're concerned about me. I really appreciate the heck out of that. I'm not even being a wise guy. Deep down, no joke. I appreciate that. I don't need it. I mean, not in that sense of the word, right? Handsome watch. Thank you very much, Sweet Liberty. It's a Longines. It's a old 1970s manual line Longines, which I absolutely love. It's just a really beautiful antique watch. Well, old watch. This one is 35, 40 years old, so it's vintage, not antique. They got to get about 100 years old on a watch before they start calling them an antique. Let's see who we got in this joint, shall we? Say hi to some folks. What do you think? What do you think? Let's say hi to some people. Dandy Wendy, what's happening? Joey Girl, says Tommy. Good to see you. Cats, bats, and flowers. Good to see you. Sandy Wendy, what's happening? Kristen Melinda. Wouldn't be a show without you. Doctor Who Heather. That would be Doctor Who Heather. Tenaciously Tina. Changed my screen name on YouTube. What was it before it was Tenaciously Tina? Janet G, good to see you. Again, Brandon, always a pleasure, man. Sweet Liberty, the positive life. Tommy Bird, good to see you, man. Piper, hey, there's Casey. He has great taste in watches, really, as well. Just Pauline, good to see you. Just Pauline, this is still your year. Sweet Liberty, good to see you. Janet G, Gemini Girl, 65. ASAP Lizzie, glad you're here. Really glad you're here. Shy Bear, what's happening? My Other's Keeper. Always love that name, too. Jam. And victims do matter, damn it. I like that. Donna, how are you? Koala Crafts. My Other's Keeper. Vixen, another name I love. Good to see you. Zelda. What's happening, Zelda Z? Good to see you. Kelly B69. What up, Convict? Good to see you. Bridge Street. Dan, let's work with this. Yeah, let's talk about this one. Bridge Street Dan says, Tommy, I'm back on blow. Can't even lie, it's just been too good lately. My dopamine levels love it, but not me. So I talked about this a little while ago. While this is a reality currently, very often we go through cycles with drugs, and currently cocaine is on an upswing. God knows why, right? What the hell is it that drives the things that people do? It might be because the garbage, right? The fake stuff, and there's people have been snorting fake cocaine for a really long time. Stuff that's coming in from China, which does what cocaine does. I mean, when I say fake, I just mean it didn't come from the coca plant. It's some form of the drug. It's a synthetic version of the drug, but it isn't what we're used to, right? It's not the old fish scale, yellow colored kind of shale rock, right? It looks like an oil slick. It's nothing like that anymore. And because of that, it's very easy to duck stuff into it, right? I mean, super easy. Normally, if you were to use cut that's very white in color, it used to stick out against the blow because blow wasn't white. It was never, it was always some colored tint to it, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of pink, a little bit of blue, but it was never completely white. But they had been cutting, and a lot of people are overdosing, snorting coke, and getting fentanyl. A lot of people are overdosing on fentanyl by doing blow. Very also easy to spot, says ASAP Lizzie. True, super easy to spot. Now, as a knee-jerk reaction to that, people that like doing blow are not going to buy any of that garbage anymore. They're not. They want the old fish scale. And word is that South America is cranking up the old production again. And we're going to be seeing a lot more of it on the street. Goes in waves. It always does. It'll disappear and then it'll come back. Heroin was almost eradicated at one point. And then it became the most popular drug in America. It's frightening. But we're back. We're definitely back on blow. And the word from many people who reach out to me, the word is that it's fire. That the quality of the stuff on the street right now is really, really good stuff. It's a bummer, but it's the truth. Karen Pooley says, I'm still wiping tears of laughter from the Related Boat. You guys were awesome tonight. Thank you. It means a lot. You know what? How about this? We were awesome tonight. That was a fun show. The audience, everybody involved. That was just a really, really fun show. If you missed it, I'm sorry you did. You would have dug it. It was really funny. It really, really was. But we were laughing pretty hard too. And do you know the hell we're going to get from that show? But we're going to talk about the cold hard truth here today because I am, right, the Admiral. Damn it, right? I started this thing. I did. My son's running with it. There's a lot of people putting content up on the Lifeboat, but this was my brain trust. I promise. I started this puppy, and I have a lot of passion for this channel, and I have a lot of passion for what we do with connection and with trying to help people. Because regardless of what your poison is, regardless of what it is in this life that's hurting you, whether or not you don't have the ability to say no to food, or whether you don't have the ability to say no to booze or drugs or anything else, right? Gambling, sex, whatever the hell your problem is. If you're unhappy currently in your own skin, doesn't matter whether you're a junkie. No matter whether you're an addict or an alcoholic or whatever the hell verbiage you want to use, right? What it comes right down to is we're all in the same boat, right? Kind of an interesting name for this thing. We called it the Lifeboat because literally we're all in the same boat, right? Doesn't matter. LA and TO, Toronto Scientology Audit, California. We bit tardy, no problem. We're not upset at you about that, right? And a fellow cult hater, so we're happy to have you, man. Really are. No problem at all. Brenda, hello, Tommy in a Lifeboat. Well, hello, Brenda. Good to see you. So yeah, Kristen, if you do not watch this episode of the Lifeboat, you'll be bumming. You want a spoiler alert? No, I can't even say it. You won't believe me if I tell you. Let's just say that we got a little friendly here on the Related Boat. Any former gambling addicts or learn to control it, pipe dream. I'd like to connect with people that understand what I'm dealing with. Sierra Terry, send an email to TommyScoville@gmail.com. Put in the subject gambling. I have some people that I could put you in contact with who would love to talk to you, who are stone cold gambling addicts. And these are people that have tried, as you said, pipe dream, just like a heroin addict says, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I'm going to move to doing pills instead. Or I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to shoot heroin every day of the week, right? I'm going to chip. I'm only going to do it every third day. And we come up with all these stupid things. Well, gamblers do the same thing, right? I'm not betting on sports anymore. No, or I'm going to only bet on sports now. No more table games. I'm just going to bet on a couple of football games on the weekend, and pretty soon you're betting, 25 parlays a week, and it just starts getting really out of control. It's the same thing with everything. We're all in the same boat. I promise you, we are all in the same boat. ASAP says, I'm still stuck on blow being fire right now. Hey, the truth of the matter is it really is fire right now. Roberta, you know what? I don't, but it's not, he's a very busy cat. You know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you. I don't I don't spend a lot of time reaching out to people who are much busier than I am, because with what we do, creating content, um, it's hard when people reach out all the time, and I never want to look like I'm trying to reach out to say, hey, let's create some content. I'm not that dude. I'm not trying to ride anybody's tails to anything. If ever somebody needs me and what I can bring to the discussion makes sense, well, then friggin' A, right? Like that was the Danny Masterson thing. I had something to say, right? Bring me on. Sierra Terry, you're not going to be able to control it. Listen up. You're not going to be able to control it. You cannot control an addiction. Sorry, you can't. And someone's going to say, well, I learned to control mine. Then you weren't an addict in the first place, right? You weren't. You were somebody that abused, or you were somebody that got out of control. There's a big difference. Two of us can go side by side doing an ounce of coke a day, right? You look at both of us and you're going to go, boy, they got drug habits, right? Well, one of them's an addict, one of them's not. So when we quit, one guy walks away and goes, oh, not doing that again. It was horrible. Blew so much money and this and that. Never doing that again. The other guy says the same thing, except 45 minutes later, he's buying an 8-ball, right? I had a roommate in college that was so bad his family had to save his life so many times. He was a gambling junkie and it was hard to watch. Housemates couldn't watch and enjoy sports. Oh, no, yeah, forget it. If you've got somebody, I'll tell you where it's really bad is inside prison, because guys have nothing to do. And I got a completely different perspective on gambling after being in the joint, because I like cards. Certain card games I really like, right? But I was never had a problem with sports gambling. I just didn't care about it. So I ran sports books, 3 different prisons. I had bookie. I was running a sports book at. And you really get an appreciation for just how bad off guys are, because as a bookie, I didn't take bets unless you could bring the money. This is prison. I'm not letting you're not betting on credit, right? Because if you lose, then I'm going to have to beat you up for the money or get angry about it. It's just it causes problems. I wasn't going to do it. But guys would come to you and say, "Hey man, will you take my radio?" Right? And you can't watch TV, you can't do anything without a radio, right? You can't do classes. Everything you do comes through the headphones, and they're about $39. And they'd go, you give me $10, and you're just gonna. This guy's gonna make 2 $5 bets, and they're gonna be 14 parlays, right? Or 3 team parlays, and you're going, the odds of hitting this thing are like 15-1, and you're pissing away money at it. It was horrible to watch. It really was. And I walked away with a completely different perspective on gambling. It's one thing to lose some money. It's another thing to be the casino. And you just start to realize that, you know what? Nobody makes money. Nobody makes money. The bookies are so good. The odds makers are so good that they've got the point spreads. So it's like the tossing a coin every damn time. It's like a 50-50 split. So, I mean, we would have a couple of guys that would sting us, for 5 or 6 games, and they'd start to make some money. But the rest of the crew is losing. I made so much money, it was stupid. I made more money in there than I could spend. But I really did feel bad about it. I hated it. Yeah, well, you know what? You know what they call that, ASAP Lizzie? They call it sweating it in, right? Gamblers call that sweating in a game, right? And they would even go to people and say, hey man, help me out. I'm sweating in a game. Come do it with me, right? A lot of people are saying the cane was my drug of choice. It was to me what heroin was to Tommy. I won't allow myself to ever be around it again. You can't. I'll tell you something. You want to hear what? I can't either. I can't be around it. It's not even my drug of choice, but I can't be around it. That drug I used to mix with my drug of choice all the time. I used to do speedballs. I was super into mixing the two of them. And if you've ever done it, you know why. If it sounds stupid to you because it seems like you're going up and down, when you shoot the white stuff, you go up and then you crash, and that crash is horrible. And it makes you, they call it the s'mores. I got to do some more. I need some more. Help me find some more, right? And the s'mores are awful. So what you do is you mix it in with the brown, and what happens is you go straight up, and then as you come down, instead of being in the crash, you just go right into that heroin buzz, and it keeps the person from needing the next shot. Unfortunately, it kills a lot of people too. It's a dangerous It's a dangerous mix because you can do a lot more of the brown because the blow keeps you up. But what happens is it starts to build up in your system and eventually it kills people. It really does. Yeah, ASAP says when it was fire, it was a really hard. If you're banging blow, there's very few drugs out there that have a crash like that. Smoking it, banging it. I mean, coke crashes are awful, awful. It's yeah. Most people who are addicted to it can't stand the even talking about it's tough. But it is a fact, people. So I would avoid it. I would avoid it like cancer, and that goes to everybody. Even if you're not somebody that's ever had a problem with it. It's yeah, two different pathways to the dopamine spike. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But they come about it two different ways, right? One's going to take you straight up, and then the other is going to take the mu receptor and tickle that one. So you're getting two really distinctive buzzes, but what it's trying to do is make sure that you don't crave viciously. It's tough. It really is. Donna says, ASAP Lizzie, it is my dad was a social addict, booze, gambling, etc. He almost destroyed most of his kids. Very often, sadly. Very, very. Oh yeah, I used to do that too, Tommy Bird. To cook up your own. Yeah, I used to make a lot of rock myself. Very often, unfortunately, there are people who are they're polyabusive. They abuse everything. They have that kind of a personality, and whatever happens to be around. Most of the time, addicts like that they have alcohol abuse disorder or they have opiate use disorder. But so they do that every day. But if any new drug happens to be around, somebody scores, a bunch of benzos, they'll buy some. Somebody scores a bunch of muscle relaxers, they'll buy some. Somebody scores a bunch of anything, right? And they'll buy it. But they're always doing that one thing. You know what? I'm so sorry to hear that. I knew a bunch of people, especially when crack was kind of king back in the day. I knew a bunch of people that were working the streets, who basically were just prostituting themselves for hits, and it was pretty painful stuff to watch. I watched a lot of really nice women who basically flushed their lives down the toilet because that drug was just viciously addicting. The trips captain says, I never had a problem with alcohol until the day I did. A little over 2 weeks now with no booze. 2 weeks with no booze gets you the largest participation trophy in this part of the world. How you doing? Can you believe that? This was the quibble realized that we needed a participation trophy while I'm visiting. And this is what she busted out with. And I think it's a fairly solid representation. What do you think, trips captain? It's pretty solid. But you should be very, very proud of yourself, man. And I'll tell you something. You sound, that's an intelligent, you put together an intelligent sentence structure, right? Everything made sense. I would say that you're probably getting into the 2 week, right when you hit 2 weeks, right? At the 2 week mark, your brain chemistry should start leveling out. This is stone cold fact, right? It's a medical thing. So right now you should start doing a whole lot better. You should start feeling a whole lot better. And that's a good thing. It really is. And in answer to your question, I have not seen Tampa Bay. You are missed. I'm over here on the Lifeboat. I'm sorry. We'll just give her a little crap. Misha, how are you? Glad that you're here. 2 weeks is epic, my brother. For real. 2 weeks is epic. It's not easy, right? The first 2 weeks are going to be the hardest. I promise you, right? I promise you. This is going to be, once you get past the first 2 weeks, right? Your brain chemistry starts to level out. You got to realize that for the first 2 weeks, you're not in your right mind. As you're trying to put together a plan for what you're going to do for the future, you're trying to do all of these things and you're not in your right mind. That's a bitch. That's a very difficult thing to put up with, but it's a fact. Brenda says, I have never had a drug or alcohol problem, but I come here because I have a sugar problem. If I stay away from it, I'm good. But even if I have a little bit, I'm off and running. Of course, that is the addiction model, right? That's the addiction model right there, Brenda. You're great until you're not. Right? Instant asshole, just add booze, right? Instant asshole, just add whatever. You give me an opiate, I'm off to the races. I mean, not day one. Day one, I'll probably do $20 worth, and I'll be wasted for a day. And the next day, I might do $30 or $40 worth. It'll seem like I don't even have a habit anymore. But within 2 weeks, I'll be doing 8 grams a day or 9, wherever my habit has. I stopped at about 6 or 7 grams. It could be up to 10. I don't know. I've been off for about 8 years. The habit keeps getting worse. I know that doesn't make sense, but it's a fact. While you're not using, your habits in there pumping iron, just getting huge, right? This is why I'm so terrified, right? I had a vicious habit 9 years ago. I don't even want to know what it would be today, because it has not been asleep. It's been pumping iron. It's been waiting for the opportunity to get back at me one more time. And I promise you, your drug of choice is doing the same shit. I don't care what you're addicted to. That's how it works. While you take off, the addiction continues to roll. It continues to get stronger. It continues to get gnarlier. It continues to interfere with more of your quality of life. That's just how it is, man. You know, this is a great, boy, oh boy, am I glad you said this, because we're going to turn this into a really cool conversation. Rosalind says, you ready? Rosalind says, Brenda, in addiction models in mice, they will kill themselves on blow, on coke, rather than food. But sugar, they will choose sugar over coke every single time. Interestingly, right? Interestingly, they did a thing called Ratopia, where they took the exact same experiment. They had sugar water, they had Coke, they had a bunch of different stuff up there. And routinely, normally what they feed them is water. That's usually what they put in the water. And traditionally, they will pick Coke over the sugar water. Now, if they raise the amount of sugar in the water until it gets ridiculous, they will absolutely choose that over Coke. However, if you take those same rats and instead of having them in a cage that's got nothing but 2 feeder bars, if you put them in a cage that has wheels to run on and it has pretty girl, mice to chase around or rats to chase around, and it had all kinds of distractions and things to play with and stuff to shred, what they found is that when those rats had a ton of crap to do all day, that about 3% got addicted to Coke and did it until they died. 3%. It's exactly what happens in the real world. Same number. 3% are going to get so out of control that they're just going to party on it until it kills them. No difference. But I would imagine if you took a man and you put him in a room and his only options were food or blow, he'd probably keep doing the blow as long as you gave it to him for free. That's what we're doing to the mouse. You know, I've snorted Coke until I lost 30 pounds, 40 pounds. So people do that every day. It's not something new, right? What normally happens is friends will stop you from smoking until you die, but there are people who do. People die from that constantly. It's a rugged drug. It really is. Yeah, a long time ago when all I did was book learning, I remember reading one of the most powerful psychological effects occurs if we use a drug of choice while in withdrawal. Yep, it's the most potent time. So people who have physical addiction, right? People who become physically addicted to drugs, like everybody that's on opiates, right, of any kind, you become physically addicted to the drug. And then every 8 hours, you are taking that drug to alleviate the symptoms of withdrawal. And most addicts, even if they have dope, they will wait until they start to feel like crap before they do it, because that's the buzz. That feeling of going from feeling nothing, right, to feeling something is really to feeling fantastic, from feeling like crap to feeling good. That's the buzz. You don't really feel the great narcotic effect anymore, because you build up a pretty fast tolerance to that, right? You'd have to keep doing more and more and more and more. Eventually, you're just banging the stuff to get well. You're not getting high. You're just staving off the sickness, right? But fascinating study where 6 months cigarette free. Good for you. Fantastic. And I don't remember how long Casey's been off cigarettes a long time too. I don't remember. Then you're adding the removal of pain as a reinforcer. It's the worst. This is why it's so hard to get somebody off of something like fentanyl. This is why it is such a difficult thing. Even with medical assisted treatment, it's hard. Without medical assisted treatment, I mean, the odds are in the single digits that you're going to successfully get the person to quit. Yeah, this is actually interesting. People say, you hear this a lot. If you quit smoking and you quit drinking, because they go hand in hand, or very often if you quit drinking, it's going to be a lot easier to quit smoking because, boy, they do go hand in hand, right? They really do go hand in hand. That is a real thing. Lisa Black, 2 years. Woohoo! The trophy is beautiful, Chris and Melinda. Is it not? This is, it was really funny because I didn't even ask. I was just doing the lifeboat, and old Quibble showed up at the door and was like, check this out. That is a beautiful trophy. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Awakened by the Looking Glass says, you guys, I am so proud to see that there are so many successful quitters. Gives me hope. You know something? Here's the deal, right? If I can get clean, then everybody has hope, right? I know everybody feels like you're as addicted as anybody on the planet, and it's different for you, but I was robbing banks, right? To feed my addiction, I was robbing banks. I was hurting people for money. I had reached a level of depravity that you absolutely could not imagine, right? Yeah, you know what? This happens a lot, Zelda. It's the difference between visiting, right? And visiting something and glorifying something. Very often, if you show up and they do, somebody gets up and they talk about, they tell you about, oh, this is the reason I quit. And they talk about a weekend where they did the most unbelievable pile of drugs and they partied with 4 women and got naked and they were doing coke and they were drinking. And they described this thing that sounds like a pretty good weekend and get to the end of it and go, now I'm sober. I would never do anything like that again. I'm pretty happy that's over. You look at him and you go, it didn't sound like you were pretty happy it's over. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that my best day of drugging is not as good as my worst day of sobriety. That's something that people like to say a lot. My best day of drugging was pretty friggin' fantastic, if you want to know the truth. I can't even talk about the things I did that day. For real, I'd have to go to confessional. But I've had some really good times on that stuff. The problem isn't that. The problem is writing the check to pay for it afterwards. Right? When that drug starts to take everything back. See, the drug gives you things in the beginning, whether the drug is alcohol, whatever it is, cigarettes, whatever. The drug delivers. You need a dopamine hit, right? You need your dopamine times 2. Cigarettes are great for that, right? Till they want to get paid. And it might be 10 years or 15 years, but what does it start with? Well, you can't taste food anymore, right? Your clothes stink. People don't like being around you. There's all those little things. Then your health starts to fail, right? Well, with drugs, it's the same thing. You get in there, you start feeling confident, right? You feel like you're the king of the world. That, anything is possible. And then pretty soon that drug wants your health. It wants your veins. It wants your family. It wants your freedom. It wants your God. Pretty scary stuff, man. It wants your kids. But yeah, having honest discussions like that, yeah, that's the kind of thing that will make you have a reverse trigger. It's one thing if people, want to sit and glorify the shit that we did when we were partying. But if you want to be honest about it, right? It's that writing the checks to pay for that afterwards that's really rugged. And it is. Make no mistake, it's rugged. Pete Taylor says, hi, Tommy. I started journaling about a week ago, and it's helping me a lot more than I anticipated. I am not surprised. It helps everyone. That's simple. There was nothing, this is etched in stone. This is pretty solid stuff. It helps everybody that does it. You start writing down the thoughts that you have in your head, and your brain has a really unique way of reorganizing them into thoughts that all of a sudden just mean something really different, right? Really, really different. Body Illusion says, Tommy, let's see here. Tommy, what you have created here is amazing. The cheering, the successes, and the helping towards success is the coolest thing ever. I'm so glad I was invited into this family. Love the boat. Body Illusion, you know what? I'm glad that you're here. I really am. I wish that we could invite the entire world into this, right? For real. But I'll give you a real, the inside skinny on why that doesn't happen, right? It's because it's pretty simple. And the truth of the matter is people don't want to improve. They don't. They want the status quo. They want the lowest common denominator. Every single day, there are people who reach out to me and say, you know what? I'm 60. I've been doing this a really long time. I think I'm just gonna, ride it out. Just gonna finish it up this way. And it always blows my mind. You're gonna spend the next 20 years getting shit faced because you've blown this much of your life. You figure you may as well blow the rest. I hear that daily. I'm not even kidding. This is a very common thought among addicts. You're worth more than that. A year of sobriety will change your entire life. A year of sobriety will completely rewire your life. Give yourself a year and see what it will change you. I promise you will not be the same person. Rosalind says, I have been having such a hard time actually taking the time to journal. Suddenly I realized I could write letters to my cousin's BFF who died 2 years ago. It helped. It's about getting into the rhythm of sitting down and writing and doing it every day. No different than making your bed. Making your bed's a pain in the ass. Takes all kinds of time, right? But it's the first time of the day that you can say, this is my goal. First thing of the day, this is my goal. My goal is to have the bed made. Why? Because when I was a drug addict, I didn't do that. Okay. When I was a drug addict, I just kicked the sheets to the bottom of the bed. I got my ass out of bed and did whatever I wanted, probably in the clothes that I slept in the night before. What does that tell you? It tells you you're a loser, right? I didn't even care enough to get changed, right? I'm not going to make my bed because I don't care. I'm just going to fall back in it later. I'm a loser. Everything that I do, I look around the room, I see a mess. Everything in my sight, my line of sight, everything in my vision screams, you are a loser. You're a loser. You're not doing what it takes in order to be successful. And I knew it. I knew it. Start the day right. You know why you have to do that ASAP, Lizzie? Because you only get one shot. If you don't make your bed, then you can't do everything right, can you? No. If you hit it out of the park, you still didn't do everything right because you should have started with the damn bed. Anita Card says, Tommy, question. I drink 2 glasses of wine every evening. It's not affecting my life. I get up, I go to work, I take care of my house and my kids, but suddenly it's bothering my husband. Am I an alcoholic? I cannot answer that question for you, Anita. I can't answer that question for anybody. It's above my pay grade, right? Only 2 people on this sphere here are going to be able to answer that, and you're one of them, right? And the other one doesn't usually talk back to us, although people will tell you that he does. I've never heard his voice, but God could probably tell you if you're an addict, right? And you can tell yourself if you're an addict, and I'm going to tell you how. All right. So all of you, pay attention and listen up because this is it right here. If you think that you might be an addict, I don't care what you think you might be addicted to. Like Cinderella's glass slipper, who says, recovering shopping and current sugar addict. Made the big move to a new house, new town last week. Changing location can be a good thing. Ruminating about my past can keep one from moving forward. Cinderella's glass slipper. You got a fresh slate, a brand new start. Dump everything from behind. Don't look backwards. This is your shot. Do not look backwards. There's a reason the rear view mirror is this big, right? And the windshield's that big. Keep your eyes forward. Focus on where you are. You're in a new place. Make friends that do not do the things that held you back the last place you lived. I promise, moving can be a beautiful thing, providing you don't move and be the same asshole when you get there, right? Tommy Bird says, when I came to the Lifeboat, I was under a year in recovery and I really having a hard time with relapse after relapse. Now I've been in recovery for about 4 years and my life is totally different. I love that, Tommy Bird. All right, everybody, Anita Card, the rest of you, listen up. If you think that you might have a problem, here's what I want you to do. Don't drink a couple of glasses of wine when you come home from work, right? Don't do it for a week. And tell me how that feels. Because if you have a drinking problem, right? If you have a legitimate drinking problem, Anita, when day 2 or 3 rolls around, you're going to be miserable. You are going to be so uncomfortable sitting at your house without the ability to have a drink that it's going to be astounding to you. And it's going to tell you whether or not you have a problem. If you set the wine down and you go, yeah, I don't even give a crap. What difference does it make? It means nothing to me. And you got nothing to worry about. But if you're feeling itchy, as Kristen Melinda would say, if you're feeling a little itchy, yeah, and then you may have a problem, right? And if you do, right? If you do, it's not the end of the world, right? It's not. It just means that you got to make some adjustments because it sucks. It sucks having something have your number, having something that owns you. And that's literally what happens, right? If you got to come home and get a couple after work, you're owned. Sorry, not sorry. You're owned. And we wouldn't want that for you. Shelly Kelly, good to see you. What's happening? Do you know, Shelly Kelly, that I brought the placards with me so that when we do we've got the signs for the tables. Shelly Kelly's great. We're going to miss you, Shelly, with this one. The itch sucks. You're damn right it does. You're damn right it does. It's the itch you can never scratch, right? Doesn't matter how many times you do this, you're never going to scratch it, ever. Lisa Black, thank you. I try. Lisa says, I love Tommy. He tells it like it is. You know what? There's not a lot of nobility in sugarcoating crap, especially when it has something to do with the addiction process. You know, Debbie P says, smoke a doobie instead. I do not fault anyone that wants to do that instead. I don't. I think it's a better bet. I really do. But you can get just as out of control on any substance. If you get to a point where you can't get through the night without something, then you need to address that. And you need to get, okay, I'll try that this week. I really don't think that it'll be an issue. Then if it isn't, Anita, then you can go back to your husband and say, I talked to Captain Tommy and he said, here's what I think you ought to do, right? As a way to test for this, he suggested that I take a week off. And if you don't have a problem with it, you should say to him, and this was pretty easy. I don't feel that itch. I don't feel uncomfortable in my own skin. I don't feel like I have to do this. I just don't. And if that doesn't shut him up, then give me his number. I'll call him and give him hell. Johnny Scoville said that for him, quitting alcohol was like flipping a light switch off. I was like that. Why are some people like that? I flipped the switch, but it took me so long to do it. Why? Well, Janet G, I think, and this is something that it's going to sound like such a cliche, but I'm sorry. It's just the damn truth. There's no other way to say it. There are people who have to drink a certain amount before they're ready to quit. You haven't hit that amount, right? If you haven't hit that amount yet, you're just not there. I remember very, very closely, there was a guy that worked with me for probably 8 or 9 years, the last 8 or 9 years that I was still using. And I was court ordered. So I would see him and then I wouldn't see him for a while. And I'd come back and he'd go, oh my God, still doing it, huh? And I'd be like, yeah, still doing it. And I'd been arrested. He came down to the county jail to see me and he was like, hadn't done enough yet, huh? Still got to get a little more in you. He's like, that's all right. He said, some people have to do a lot more before they're ready to quit. And that's where I was, right? Really funny. When I got to that point that I had enough, I had enough. I'm not saying it was easy to quit because it wasn't. I had been fixing every day for 30 years. That's a hard thing to break. I mean, I'm still struggling. I struggle every day because I did it for 3 decades. I'm going to have to go at least 3 decades without it before I start feeling like I'm even close to normal. But, that's going to make me pretty old. Okay. Zolda says, all right, Tommy, I got up and put a notebook and pen next to my bed. Tired of feeling guilty about not journaling. That's my girl. Now, when I'm done here, stick around because Calhoun is putting up the prompts for the day. So you know what the journal prompts are going to be. If you can't think of what to write, we will give you stuff to start writing about. Start doing it. Dedicate a couple of weeks to this and watch what happens. For real. Do this every day for 2 weeks and watch what happens. Body Illusion says it sucks when something controls your thoughts. Take back control of you. Damn straight. And Anita Card says, weed makes me paranoid as you know what. Not in my wheelhouse. I love your new thumbnail, by the way, Anita Card. I think it looks, or whatever you call that thing. It looks great. Yeah, you know it. I got this. A lot of times, a lot of times what happens is our loved ones start, they worry about us and they have the best of intentions, right? They're at work and somebody says, yeah, my wife's going to AA now. And you go, oh, really? I didn't even know she had a problem. Oh, she drinks every single day. Yeah, every time she comes home from work, she's got to have wine. And your husband is sitting there listening to that going, oh, no, man, I wonder if my wife's got a problem. I mean, often it starts that small. Like somebody hears something and goes, oh, maybe I got maybe I got issues, or maybe my wife does. And people start, but it may be him really trying to look out for you for real. But there are a lot of people who drink a couple of glasses of wine every single night. If it's not, here's the way I look at addiction. And this is me, right? Crap all over me. I don't care. The way I look at addiction is this. I'm not anti-drug. I never have been. I don't care what you want to do unless it's addicting, unless you're addicted to it, right? If you have a problem with it, then that's a problem. And what is addicting? Well, addicting is when the substance, the drug, the habit, whatever is wildly adversely affecting your life. Right? You're getting arrested, you're getting fired, you don't have any friends. All of these things are piling up. And in spite of all of that, you just continue to do it. You just continue to do it. Can someone get Allison Metcalf Palumbo's link up here? Says she's going to be going live. If I could get one of our wrenches to put her link up here so that people can see that. And yeah, if you could put that up into the Lifeboat Facebook page, that will get you some traction too. You know what? You look like sisters, Anita. You really do. Subi, have a great night. Thank you for spending some time with us. I really appreciate you. Let me tell you something about Jeremy Shelton. I was out today with my partner Reese and her son, and we were going to thrift stores, which I do everywhere I go. I love looking for old watches. And I actually found one, by the way, Gerard Perregaux, absolutely gorgeous. I'm going, didn't buy it. Planning on going back to though. Anyway, yeah. So we were out doing the shopping thing, and one of the things that is in all of these old stores is vinyl, crap loads of it. So I continued to come across albums that had the Bee Gees on them. There's a lot of them there. And each time I did, I would go, hey, check it out. So Jeremy Shelton's favorite band, I would say to Huxley. Now, Huxley doesn't know who you are, but I still got a kick saying it every single time. I was enjoying it. What do I know about gabapentin? Let's see. The name brand is Neurontin. It is often given out for restless leg syndrome, nerve pain, phantom limb pain. Absolutely. Seems to be a dependent flu-like symptoms without any idea. What's the half-life? 72 hours. However, exposure for long periods of time starts to build up in your body, and it can take a little bit longer to get out, but the half-life is actually 72 hours. I'm sorry. The drug will be out of your system in 72 hours. Gabapentin is used in place of opioids sometimes, but really it's an anti-seizure medication, right? Originally, it was designed to be an anti-seizure medication. And they started going off-label for it because they found that it kind of numbs the nerve endings. And if you've done a bunch of gabapentin, you know what I'm talking about. You can kind of feel it. Yo, gabba, gabba. Yo, gabba, gabba. Monk. Yo, gabba, gabba. Hey, gabba, gabba. Hey. We got any Ramones fans? Well, that's all right, Anita. Nothing wrong with the head swelling. Nothing wrong with that. Good night, Lisa Black. Thank you for spending some time with us. Thank you. You're welcome, Allison Metcalf Palumbo. Happy to help. I would like all of you to. I want everybody to have people watching them. I want more connection. More connection. Living in the gray area says gabapentin gave me double vision. You're not the first person I've heard say that. If you've had problems with gabapentin, I would not recommend pregabalin, right? If Neurontin didn't work, then you're probably not going to like Lyrica, because Lyrica is a very similar drug. Anita Card says, I took gabapentin after my cosmetic surgery. It did nothing for me, so I quit taking it. Yeah, it's Sheena is a punk. Sheena is a punk rocker. Sheena is a punk rocker. Oh yeah, you gotta love the Ramones. Yo, Admiral, are you saying this is the rock and roll high school of YouTube? Yeah, I might. That's a good reference. Do you know who made Rock and Roll High School? So obviously it was the Ramones, but the guy that produced that was the crazy guy that shot the girl and ended up going to prison for it. You guys know who I'm talking about. What was the name of the music producer that shot a girl in the face? Absolute nut job. Is that right? She says they went off book immediately. I had a neurologist who did that from the beginning. I'll be damned. Phil Spector, thank you. I did not know that, Donna. Phil Spector is definitely, actually, Kristen Melinda got it first there. How about that? Phil Spector is who I was looking for, to be sure. He produced that album. I was kind of excited back in the day. I thought, Phil Spector's going to do a Ramones album. I think there was only one good song that came off of that entire album. But it was, I think I Want to Be Sedated was on that album. It was a pretty good song, pretty big song for them was I Want to Be Sedated. 24 hours to go. But if you ever saw the Ramones in concert, they used to come out and there was a guy with an alien mask at the end who would come out with a sign that said Gabba Gabba Hey, Gabba Gabba Hey. CBGBs, all great early punk performers, you bet. Do you know what CBGB stands for? Huh? Who can tell me what CBGB stands for? Talking Heads, great band, ASAP Lizzie. Great band. Don't forget to float on over and drop an anchor on that like button. That would be appreciated. And check to see if you're unsubscribed because they've been unsubscribing people. We got up to 2,100. We're back down to 19. It's just incredible. Erica says, I'm taking gabapentin for my anxiety, and it's really helping. Low doses sedates my brain. I've heard that too. It's another way that they're using it off label, to be sure. Brandy LBT says, we use gabapentin for anxiety. Yep. In cats and dogs. In vet meds, dosing would blow your mind. A cat can easily take 200 milligrams to help with anxiety and aggression prior to a vet visit. Well, I'll be damned. Didn't see that coming. Country, bluegrass, yeah. CBGB, country blues, CB, country and blues, GB, and GB. Yeah, bluegrass, and it's country and blues and bluegrass and some the CBGB. It's which is funny because there's not a lot of country and bluegrass and blues going on in the in CBGB. Not a whole lot. A lot of punk though. And a really funky smell, which smelled a lot like liquor and piss. Sorry, that's really what it smelled like. Donna says I take 5,400 milligrams a day, which is a wild, huge dose. No, not for nothing. That's a lot. But I've been taking that for 18 years. So yeah, if you haven't built up anything, you're not getting more. That's a lot. That's certainly off label, Donna. That's way more than they tell you to write, right? I think 32, right, is what they want you to cut off at about, but they do go higher than that for some, especially when they're depending on what they're using it for. I take oxycodone for chronic pain. I assume I'm dependent, but not addicted. I have never felt any type of high from the pain meds, just pain relief. Why is that? Well, if there's pain in your body, then the painkiller treats the pain. If you don't have pain in your body, then the painkiller gets you high. If you have a pain in your body that requires 80 milligrams of Oxycontin to treat it, and you take 160, you're going to get high. So you're probably following the instructions on the side of the bottle, right? You're taking exactly what the doctor tells you to take. If you've been doing that for any length of time, then you're not probably, you probably are not addicted. Because people who are addicted have a very difficult time following what the advice of the doctor is. Usually they'll go through a 30-day prescription in 15 days, and they'll be on the phone with me asking for a miracle at day 15. There's got to be a way to help me, you know? Yeah, so, hey, what do you say there, Bo? Country, bluegrass, and blues. Yeah, there you go, Body Illusion. You take 2,700 milligrams of gabapentin a day. Told that was the max. It might be 27. That might be it. I thought it was 34 at one point, but the bathrooms in CBGB were iconic. Well, that's one way to put it, ASAP Lizzie. That's one way to put it. They were They were funky. I'm no Lynyrd Skynyrd. Southern country rock, but not familiar. Lynyrd Skynyrd, great band, right? Lynyrd Skynyrd, with a D. Lynyrd Skynyrd is was a great band, named after the guy that taught gym in high school. He was the gym instructor. Miss Dragon, good to see you. He was the gym instructor, and he kicked the boys out of gym class for having long hair. And the family went all the way to the school board and said, you can't do that. And they said, well, if they do something else during that period instead of gym, they give them credit. So they went to their music room instead and did a music credit during that time. And they started their band in there. True story. And the guy that said they needed a haircut, his name was Lynyrd Skynyrd. Great piece of trivia. It's kitty magic. Cats can't have NSAIDs either, so it's a safe option for pain management. They do fine with gabapentin. I'm really surprised by that, but I'm happy to hear it. And the sign said, long-haired freaky people need not apply. So I tucked my hair up under my hat. Oh, yeah. Trying to cut back, but it is very difficult. I started taking Neurontin from the day it hit the market for severe nerve pain. I'll be damned. Yeah, the first time I was written a prescription for GABA had to be a long time ago, really long time ago. Of course you can use that story. No, that's a great story. Play Freebird. Yep. Yeah, that's a great story. No, you can use that. It's I've seen him in concert a bunch. I dig Southern rock. I really do. Yeah, Lynyrd Skynyrd, the Allman Brothers, Molly Hatchet. Yeah, well, Molly Hatchet. I'm heading down the road, not flirting with disaster. Oh, wow, Miss Dragon. Boy, when it rains, it does pour. Gag said, I saw Lynyrd Skynyrd in Mobile, Alabama, 1976. The crowd never sat down the entire time they were on stage. I am not surprised by that. I am not surprised by that. I of course was a little bit too young to see them with with Ronnie Van Zant, and I every time I saw Lynyrd Skynyrd, it was after the plane crash, so I was seeing the version we had a shot at. I was a little too young to catch Skynyrd when they were live. I hate to say it, I'm not trying to bum you out, but in 1976, I was in first grade. Missed it by a little, but I've been a fan of them my entire life. Love Lynyrd Skynyrd. Yeah, Jeremy Shelton. You know what? We could probably cut that deal, but you got to take the bad ones too, right? Yeah, you got to take all the bad stories too, Yeah. Not just the fun ones. There's some really ugly ones in there, but you get them all. Yeah, we could probably work that out. Yeah. What's the? I very rarely drink beer, but if I did, it would be that stuff that the guy drinks. Todd, you saw the Talking Heads at CBGB. That great band, just such a great band. I saw the Talking Heads in the '80s, and the name of it was the Stop Making Sense tour. And holy crap, was it a good tour? They came out. The lead singer comes out on stage. What's his name? David Bryan, something like that. He come out on stage with a boombox. Set the boombox down. Just hit play, and you hear some guitar come in on the boombox. There's no percussion. It's just a guitar, and then a drum kit gets wheeled out. The drummer starts, and then it was just they would keep adding one piece after one piece after one piece after one piece. It was a really incredible show. But I was 100% convinced. Yeah, there you go, Brian. I was 100% convinced that he did a bunch of acid before he went on stage. Like he was sparking. His pupils were like that big. I mean, he's in the lights and his pupils are still that big. I was like, that dude is Ryan. Tommy Barrett says, I wasn't born until 82 and I'm old. What does that make you people? Makes us really old. That's what it makes us. Bad, bad. Let it be known that this was not a Rubik's Cube that was done when I got here. I was showing off for Quibble because nothing says tough and sexy like I can do a Rubik's Cube. Body Illusion says, Tommy, you just broke my heart. 1976, I was a junior in high school. Must be time for Depends. No, I think you're all right. I think you're all right, Body Illusion. Nonsense. Besides, you're only as old as you feel. You really are. I'm feeling a lot. When's the last time you heard me complain about body aches or pains? I've been really working an awful lot harder toward losing a little weight so that I don't deal with the body pains and all of the things that I was dealing with, a year ago at this time or 2 years ago at this time. Miss Dragon says in 76 I was 10. So you're really the same age as Johnny Scoville. Johnny Scoville was 10 in 76. Yeah, Talking Heads at CBGB, right? I'm a little bummed out too. I would have loved that. I would have loved that. Yardbirds? Man, that would have been great. Wow. The Yardbirds would have been a really good show. That would have been fantastic. Do you find it interesting? We use buprenorphine and vet meds regularly for pain relief in both cats and dogs. Injectable? And you can give the injectable orally as well. I am blown away by that. I am blown away by that. I had no idea. They give it for pain. I would be really curious if you could tell me what dose they're giving to an animal. Do you know what they're giving them in milligrams? That would be really interesting to know. Yeah, you're only as old as you feel until your students mention that you are as old as their mother or worse, their grandmother. I got a good one for you, right? I was with Spanx Calhoun, and this was I was living in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we were at the Olympic Center where they've got a big high dive and all of those things, and we were out there just jumping off the high dives and having fun. And as I was getting out of the pool, I was going over by where we had our towels and everything set up. And I was watching these young kids walk around with a bill in their hand. And they were walking around asking everybody. And I was sort of watching them as they were going place to place. And one of the kids realized I was watching him, right? So I hear the kid go ask the old guy, the really old hairy guy, because I was not shaving my chest at that point. But he goes, go ask the really old hairy guy. He's looking at us. I think he's got change. And I'm watching them walk, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm the old hairy guy. Like the kid's walking right up to me. I'm like, oh no, man, he was talking about me. I'm the old hairy guy. And he came up. He's like, hey, can I get you some? Do you have change? I went, I'm the old hairy guy. Get the hell away from me, kid. I was so angry. Oh no, look who it is. It's my girl. Welcome back. We're so happy you're here. I'm gonna have to wrap this up in the next 2 minutes. Tampa B arrived. We're gonna have to shut this thing down before she goes wild. She knew I was gonna shut it down. That's why she did what she did. But thank you for the super chat, Barb. That is huge and that is awesome. And you know what? I've been having an awful lot of fun. I got a great comment here from let's see who said it. Anita Card says, Tommy, the last month has made you a huge difference. It made a huge difference in you. You are radiant now. Aw, she says, I think I know why. Thank you, Anita Card. I'll be honest. I feel fantastic. I really do. I feel really good. And it has a lot to do with all of you. This has been, you guys have been supporting me for so long. And, Alan Valentine and all of the people in my five. And Reese has absolutely been a lot of, just a huge force in my life. You'll hear people joke that she doesn't have a filter, that she says whatever's on her mind and all of that. The nice thing about Quibble is that that kind of honesty forces you sometimes to address things that maybe you wouldn't normally have addressed. I've gotten into some really light, fun, airy conversations with Reese, only to wind up in some really heavy stuff and tears. And you go, how the hell did I get there? I don't even remember how all of a sudden, but it's she's just one of those people, and it's been a real benefit to have her as a friend. I've probably worked through more in the last month and a half to 2 months than I have in the last couple of years. So that's a good thing. Why, Tampa B is Mama Warbucks tonight. Tampa B, man, definitely is Mama Warbucks. That is funny. Thank you, Kelly. I feel like I'm absolutely glowing. And on that note, I'm going to be back tomorrow at the same bat time, same bat channel. I'm going to be right here doing this again. We're going to ride this entire month out, people. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, and that's a big deal to me. It's a real big deal to the boat. All right, this is our Super Bowl. So, yeah. And boy, if you didn't catch the Relata boat, I'm not going to say we were doing anything crazy over there, but we were doing some crazy stuff over there. You're right, Kristen Melinda. Friends like that are extremely rare. It's a different thing. It's not something that I'm familiar with. It's fairly new to me too, but it's certainly helped me work through things that I thought I had worked through. But there's a difference between working through something alone, writing it down, and then talking to somebody. It really is apples and oranges, the difference that it makes in your life when you share something with somebody. It's a huge deal. I have cat hair all over my face. I love Kid, but unlike Squirrel Nut Zipper, Kid likes to let a little hair go when you pet her. Yeah. Thank you, Awakened. I think I'm going to leave that up there. That's a good one. Body Illusion says, love you, Tommy and Ball. I love you guys. I really, really do. You know something? This is real. Listen, don't make light of this because this is actually real. He said, I am always brought to tears whenever my friend and I discuss the switch from Dick York to Dick Sargent. Kind of a touchy subject. If you're not familiar with what he's talking about, it was a really tough time in America. It was the switch on Bewitched, which was one of my favorite shows as a kid. And when they switched out the husbands, it was a tough thing for a lot of us. It really was. I had a fairly good sized crush on Samantha from Bewitched. That show early on. I really had a problem with that. I also had a problem with I Dream of Jeannie. And do you know that I have a signed I Dream of Jeannie? Oh, last year somebody went and got me a bunch of memorabilia from Jeannie, all signed. Really, really funny. Your youngest is named Samantha. I think a lot of people named Samantha or named Tabitha. Yeah. Tampa B says, I wanted to be Tabitha so bad. I dated a Tabitha, and I swear to God, I think the only reason I dated her was because of her name. I'm not kidding. I mean, she turned out to be a nice person, but I think the only reason I really had a thing for all things Bewitched. All right, people, now I'm really ending this thing because I got to go and look at some analytics. And, we got Quibble here. I'm gonna go do my my Beetlejuice voice and see if I can't make her laugh. All right, people, for real, I will be back same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow night. Yeah. That you and every other guy on planet Earth. You know something? Hey, Kellyanne Silva, that's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said about me. That is so nice. I really, really appreciate you. And Kristen Melinda says, I am always confused by how irritated the guy seemed in I Dream of Jeannie. He had this beautiful woman in a bottle who could do anything he asked her to do, right? All she had to do was like shake her head and yeah, there was nothing to it, right? Idiot. All right, people, I will see you on the manana or tomorrow, whichever comes first. All right. I'm Captain Tommy. Thank you again, Tampa Bay, for everything. Durwood, that's right. We will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.